Welcome back to the channel, guys. We watched the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer a week ago when it came out, so we're a little late, but we were here to do our little discussion slash reaction video. So many crazy things happened in the trailer, as you just saw in that clip I just included. Some return of some very beloved characters from the other Spider-Man series and universes. Super big reveal, I think, and even just a teaser trailer. I think there's going to be so much more crazy stuff that happens, like that we can't even imagine. But just to get that little tiny taste of it in the teaser trailer, if that's any sign of things to come, then this is probably going to be one of the most hyped Marvel movies of all time. What do we want to talk about first? As I just said, has the potential to be one of the biggest Marvel movies of all time, and that's mainly because it's the introduction of the multiverse. This is like our first big look into what that might look like going forward, especially since the plot of Doctor Strange is going to be kind of around that sort of concept as well. I think this is going to be just the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to get way crazier as far as the storylines and Marvel movies going forward. So I think this is just like, it's just getting you warmed up, basically, for things to come.
I'm pumped. I think what I really want is I want this trailer to be the only trailer they release. Because we're like 4 months away, I think, from the release of it. So if this stays the only trailer, I'm cool with it, because they revealed a good amount, like we just showed the clip, with the return of Doc Ock and that pumpkin bomb that flies in, and it explains the plot. I pretty much know what's like the main gist of the plot's going to be. So leaving it just as this, I would be so pumped with, because there needs to be surprises in there, which I think they'll keep that way. I was beyond pumped. I think and it's crazy to think that this is going to be probably the biggest Marvel movie, because we've had fucking Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, the very first Avengers movie. I mean, this in 24 hours, this trailer for this movie doubled Avengers Endgame trailer, which that's following Infinity War, which everybody was just left on a cliffhanger essentially, and this one doubled it. And I think this one could be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Marvel movie that has come out.
Just give us that little taste, and then don't do anything more than that.
Yep.
And I think they're going to, because I think there's going to be an absolutely insane endgame level scene towards the middle or end of this movie. I have a feeling that there's just going to be some craziness that happens with all the stuff that's rumored and all the people that are going to be returning supposedly. I think it's just inevitable that something happens. I guess we could put it this way: we can go through kind of what we would love to see out of this movie, like what's got to happen in this movie for it to be worth it for you. I guess it's going to be a good movie anyway. I can already tell. Like, Far From Home, kind of a letdown for me personally. But the setup that it has and all the implications, everything going forward, I think this is guaranteed to be a good movie no matter what. But like, what's the craziness that you've got to see to put this over the edge for you?
Everybody knows at this point the rumor with Toby and Andrew maybe showing up. If that happens, I mean, it's not only that happening; it's happening well. It happens if they hypothetically they're not in the cast. They don't want to keep that in the cast. It makes sense. They want that to be is it going to happen? Is it not? They still want you speculating.
Right.
But if it happens, it's got to happen well. And I'm confident to say that I believe Tobey Maguire at least shows up. Am I confident enough to say Andrew Garfield? No, there's nothing that's really speculating me there. Maybe not. I would really love that. After watching that trailer and seeing Doc Ock say, "Hey, Peter," I'm really believing that Tobey Maguire is there, because unless there's more plot in the movie that Doc Ock's around a little bit, and maybe he just knows Tom Holland's Peter. But the only Peter he would know, if we're assuming he's alive, would be Tobey Maguire's Peter. And I hope that was like a hidden little thing in there that you think he's talking to Tom Holland, but in reality he's not. That was one thing. I'm like, oh, could that be? There's no way. But yeah, again, if they show up, it's got to be done right. Even with Doc Ock, it's got to be done right. Don't just throw them in there for fan service, which I think they will. Marvel, for the most part, has pretty much slaughtered on everything just so perfectly. They give the fans what they want, but done well. So if Doc Ock coming in, I have faith that Alfred Molina will be amazing once again, and they'll use Doc Ock the right way. I'm interested though to see why Doctor Strange went about doing this spell. Why he went about doing this. It seems kind like even Wong's like, "Hey, bro, don't do that spell, man. That's bad. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it anyways. And I'm like, that doesn't mean you gotta do it. So hopefully there's something that gets explained there. If there's something going on with him, or he's just trying to help him out, and he just says, "Fuck it, I'll help you out." I don't know, but I'm interested to see how that goes out too.
Yeah, there's a couple of with a trailer like this, the editing can really throw you off. I think that's why they do it that way. Obviously, the editing that they do, it looks like it's in the same scene, but those people that are interacting, like the way the scenes, the shots are cut, it makes it look like two people are interacting and they never interact, or it's just a different person on one of the ends.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how a lot of those scenes actually play out. But what you just brought up with Doctor Strange I've been kind of thinking about that as well. He seems different when Peter first goes to him. He's very cocky and suave and smooth, and not that he wasn't that way before. He's actually just acting like he was before he became the Sorcerer Supreme, if anything. But that weird little wink he gives Peter, like the fact that he's just so ready and willing to do this spell. And I think the way it's been explained in a couple of other videos I watched is that he's just riding so high because he just helped the Avengers save the universe, and he's just feeling like and he really is, he's one of the most powerful beings around now. So maybe he's just got some sort of like false confidence or arrogance about him that maybe this will kind of bring him back down again a little bit, and humble him a little bit. But could also just be somehow somebody's in disguise. I mean, you never know what craziness they're going to come up with. He could be an imposter. Then the only thing that really lends credit to that is the scene of him and Peter fighting on that train. That's
looks so.
Are they really fighting, or is Doctor Strange trying to save him from someone else by doing all that? Or there's so many things that could happen. You have a character in Spider-Man universe, Chameleon, who could literally just become anyone. He can't have their powers, so I don't know how you'd explain that. But he could be impostoring as Doctor Strange, or it could be that Doctor Strange's spell ends up making him forget who Peter is too, somehow.
Ooh, maybe.
Maybe he's not immune to the effects of it, and it wipes his memory, and that's why you see him kind of do that astral projection thing to Peter when he's going for that box or whatever. You just never know. There's so many things that are left up in the air, and that's kind of why I like to, do these like fantasy sort of like what I would like to see happen. Like, what's a crazy twist that's easily explainable?
Yeah, I think that also, on a side note, as I think this movie, I want this movie to have probably the best post-credit scene ever. Like, I introduced in the multiverse, if I would just like all of a sudden post-credit scenes just show a Fantastic Four shot, or maybe somebody from X-Men or something, because the old multiverse is opened up. Seeing something like that it'd be incredible. Or give me as much as like seeing like a Thor, Love and Thunder reference or anything like that. I really want to see something that's just going to blow me out of the water for like opening up what the multiverse section of Marvel movies is going to do. Marvel is, I'm telling you, they're very secretive with their trailers, and I think there's a lot in this trailer that we were deceived by that we don't know of yet. And I think when it comes out, I mean, oh man, I don't know. I think it's going to be, I absolutely guarantee to be the top grossed Marvel movie by the end of it.
It's going to be game changing if they do it right. Because there's two movies, that one and then Eternals comes out just before that. And I think those two movies alone are just going to set up two major pillars of every Marvel movie going forward. That's large cosmic events and then multiverse-based events. And that's just going to open the floodgates for big Avengers level storylines going forward. Like, the next Avengers is probably going to be some cosmic level threat. If you've watched the Loki series, have you seen the Loki finale?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kang is introduced. I don't know if they're going to use that version of him in movies going forward, but he's a huge Avengers villain. And they kind of just set him up to where, he's kind of a big threat by the end of the Loki finale. So that might be a huge thing going forward. They're introducing the Celestials and Eternals. Like, Galactus could show up at some point in the future. I think that's what they're aiming for that. Spider-Man on its own, they've been talking about doing a Sinister Six movie for forever now, and now with this multiverse thing, you might have like a multiverse, like a dream team Sinister Six of like all these versions of these characters, which I think is another interesting thing too, because Sam Raimi is directing the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yes.
So I think probably I think honestly they've had him consult on a couple of these scenes in Spider-Man, if I had to guess. Especially since Alfred Molina's character looks pretty much identical to how he did in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. The arms and tentacles, they look they're a little bit changed aesthetically just because of advancements in CGI and all that kind of stuff. But the aesthetic of them, it looks pretty much exactly the same. They didn't change anything about his character, and I think that's really smart, and also it's just really respectful of Disney. Like, they know how much people loved these other Spider-Man movies before theirs came out, and they're just not really necessarily, they're not even cashing in on it. I wouldn't say they're just being smart and just using heightening it. Basically, they're taking it to further heights than what they were able to do before. So I think the Pumpkin Bomb looked exactly the same. I don't know how much, if you're going to get Willem Dafoe or not.
I would love it.
He's up there in years now, but with CGI, again, like he wouldn't even have to necessarily be in any action scenes. They just put him in that little CGI suit with all the dots on it, and then he just does like a Hulk sort of thing where he just does lines and then they CGI all of his action or whatever.
I would love Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe to be on screen together fighting Spider-Man. That'd be so fucking cool. And yeah, like you said, it's not necessarily a fan service. It's not them just cashing in on what people love. Because of all the years that have went on, because of not one but now two canceled Spider-Man franchises, and now we have this one, introducing that, and like it's just reintroducing like a good flavor, everything that's gonna work. And if they bring it in the right way, if they don't just use them for 2 seconds, then it'll be great. I think they will absolutely impress not only every single person that's a Spider-Man fan, but any person that's trying to get introduced into the Marvel world.
And I think what they need to do a good job of too is representing every era equally. So Jamie Foxx's Electro from the Andrew Spider-Man movies is supposed to be in this as well. And I think they've changed his aesthetic a little bit. He appears to have yellow lightning from what I can tell in this. So he may be in more of his like comic book accurate looking color scheme.
Hopefully not all blue.
No, that was his Ultimate Comics looking, or his Ultimate Comics form. I think do original with the green and yellow and the yellow lightning. I think that will look okay as long as you don't make it too campy or goofy. I think it'll look fine. And then there's also that scene where everyone seems to be speculating a different thing, where it could be the Lizard's hand reaching out. Could be Venom. I don't think it's Venom. I think it's more likely to either be Lizard or Scorpion has already been set up in the first Spider-Man Homecoming movie at the end scene. It could be Scorpion in his full outfit too, so who knows. But what you're setting up, I mean, that's already like, you know, between Electro, Doc Ock, and Green Goblin, that's already 3 huge Sinister Six villains. And it wouldn't be that hard to introduce a couple more, especially if you have just used some of them that have already been introduced in the current Spider-Man universe. You have Vulture already. You have Scorpion's been set up. Mysterio is more than likely probably still alive, if I had to guess. So there's just so much you can do, and I think what has to happen in this movie, like you said, it can't just be a quick cameo. It needs to be like a good chunk of the movie where these fights between these villains are happening. And I think too, if you're gonna have Andrew and Toby show up, you gotta have them fully suited up. You gotta have them fighting. I don't think it can just be like them showing up and like giving Peter some advice or something. It can't be just them giving like some Uncle Ben sage advice. It needs to be need to be showing up, and they need to be all in costume, fighting. And I think it would be really cool if they ended up fighting each other's villains instead of them all taking on their own. But in this new kind of combined universe, I think they need to fight like crossways, like, you know, Disney Spider-Man takes on Doc Ock and Green Goblin, fucking Toby takes on Electro, Maybe Andrew takes on whoever the other villains they introduce are, like, and then just have them all kind of explaining how to defeat their own villain
Yeah.
in a sort of way, like that sort of thing. Like, it just needs to be that camaraderie of like good badass Spider-Man fight scenes, but also it needs to have a nerd out moment between all the Peters. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just have them show up for 2 seconds and be like, oh, this is crazy, and then like go back home.
Science.
Yeah.
No idea. And if I think for me, now that I'm thinking about it, what I absolutely need, if Tobey's in, right? If Tobey Maguire's in, I need the Sam Raimi suit, and I need to hear the beautiful original Spider-Man soundtrack when he's in that suit. And that'll be like Cap lifting Mjolnir level hype for me.
Yes.
That'll be like, oh, if he's swinging through in that classic suit and that classic music's going on, the Sam Raimi music and everything with him, oh, that'd be fantastic. Just bringing that back again just would be, that's nerding out for sure.
Yeah. And then just having like Andrew and Tom like freaking out about his like organic web shooters, like, because he just has them come out of his like actual wrist, and they're like, oh, gross. I think it'd be so funny.
Oh god,
yeah.
There's potential.
There's, again, huge potential. There's another thing too that I think is an interesting theory. I've maybe heard, I don't know, I can't remember where I heard it, but I thought I heard some inkling of like somebody is assuming that Doc Ock is maybe a good guy in this movie somehow, because I think Alfred Molina says this picks up basically right after he sank into the Hudson at the end of Spider-Man 2. Like, he survived after he buried the fusion device, and then like this takes place like kind of right at his character is from like right after that timeline. Like, he comes out like right after the end of Spider-Man 2. So,
okay.
And if you remember at the end of that, he was in control of the arms. He didn't get affected by them anymore. They weren't controlling him and making him do evil things. He was able to do the right thing. So, him being as smart as he is, he could be there to help fix the multiverse thing.
I would love it.
That would be an interesting twist.
A little bit of both. Give me a little bit where they're fighting his ass because I don't know anything about him, but then have him help out. Yeah, I'm cool with it. I think that this movie could absolutely be the #1 Marvel movie. This is absolutely the one I'm probably most hyped for, coming from maybe Endgame. After Endgame, I was super hyped for because after Infinity War, of course, I would be. But this one, this one could be the best I hope this ends up being the best Spider-Man movie. Obviously, for me, it's Spider-Man 2 with Tobey, but this could be if done right. So fingers crossed.
I think this has the potential to be the best plot of any of the new Spider-Man movies by far. And
absolutely. Yeah.
With the amount of characters that they have in it, it's more so going to be similar to Civil War, or like one of those sort of bigger group movies, but it's not like an Avengers level movie. It's just like they got a ton of characters in it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Civil War, despite having that many characters and stuff to keep track of, was actually done pretty well, I think. It might be a little overhyped, but I think this one has the potential, as long as you be respectful and pay homage to the old source material, build on the new stuff, and have some really I think if you're gonna, I just gotta say, like, don't beat around the edges. Like, really go hard. Like, if you're gonna bring back Tobey and Andrew, like, go balls to the wall with it and really have them be in it for a good chunk of it, and fighting, and not just have small cameos that goes for the villains too. I think they just have to be a huge integral part of this story in terms of like fights and all that kind of stuff. I think that's the only way that this movie comes out good.
I agree. So, yeah, I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. I've seen this trailer like 30 times. Yes. So, I am so ready for this movie. It's December. It's coming up.
I'm super excited to see that. We got Shang-Chi in the meantime coming out this weekend. Eternals. I think those movies are going to be surprising good. I'm actually really excited for Shang-Chi because I've wanted to see a martial arts type action movie for a long time, and Iron Fist in his Netflix series was such a letdown. It could have been really good, but it was ultimately a letdown, and I think Shang-Chi is going to be done really well. So I'm super excited for that. And then Eternals looks really good. Like,
After the second trailer, I'm definitely excited for it. That first one was
it's gonna be absolutely beautiful, and it may not be the most action packed or like, you know, whoa, that was so cool moment or whatever, but it looks visually very, very good, and I think it's just it's a setup movie by all means. It's just gonna explain a ton of other stuff that's gonna happen or that is happening, but I think the movies that we've got this year from Marvel are really good so far. I think Black Widow was unfortunately timed. I wish it had come out when it was supposed to, but pandemic, it got pushed back a little bit. I still think it turned out really good, and I think these next three are also going to be really good as well. So,
yeah, we were definitely surprised with Black Widow. I think the four that we're going to get this year, Black Widow, and then the next three, I think this could be the best year for Marvel. So
and then just knowing what's coming next year and the year after that is like for the rest of Phase 4 is just gonna keep getting more crazy. Like just so many cool things that are gonna happen. So many cool movies, and it's just so cool the way they're making these movies a little bit more interesting and like crazy, just thinking outside the box compared to how Phase 1. If you go look at Phase 1, the movies were called Iron Man, Thor, Incredible Hulk. Like they were just named after, like now they're coming up with Spider-Man, No Way Home, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Like they're really going like comic book titles for these movies, and the plots are just getting even more insane. So I think there's a lot of good things to come. I think they've really found their formula. In terms of how to make these good movies, and they've picked really good directors for most of them here in recent years that just kind of they get the character, but they also get what the main goal of these movies is and it's just to further this huge ongoing plot and story for all these characters to converge and then separate and go their own ways and then come back again. It's really impressive. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So super excited. If you guys are excited, let us know what you want to see out of these movies going forward. What's your favorite moment from this trailer? What do you have to see in this new Spider-Man movie to really just make it your favorite Marvel movie of all time? I already have high hopes for it. I think it's going to be one of my favorites. Probably going to go immediately into my top 5. Depending on what happens, could go even higher because Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters. Again, if you're enjoying, please like and subscribe. And then we will catch you in the next one. Corey, hit him with a goodbye. A very polite goodbye.
See you guys.
Okay. See ya.